Tens of thousands of people around the country have voted with their feet and rallied in support of marriage equality. 7,000 in Melbourne, another 7,000 in Brisbane, around 30,000 at the Sydney rally. The PM and former Liberal leaders also gave their support to the Yes campaign, with a survey to hit our mailboxes this week.
Let's get our senators' take on this. One Nation's Pauline Hanson and Sarah Hanson-Young of the Greens join us now. Good morning to you both, ladies. Pauline, how will you vote?
Myself personally?
Yep.
I'm voting no to the same-sex marriage.
Why is that?
It's my personal opinion about it, and I personally think that it should go to a referendum to the people at the next election. I think it's a complete waste of $122 million to spend on this plebiscite. I don't believe it's going to be binding to the Parliament. If it's voted down, I'm sure the Labor Party will not leave it go at that, or the Greens. I just think that it's a grave concern to me. I do believe people have a right to live in peace and harmony and love each other by all means, but I think the word marriage is for between a man and a woman, and I do think that if they took another word, civil marriage, fair enough. I have concerns about, of children and same-sex marriage. I think the whole lot needs to be open up completely for debate, and that everyone should have an understanding of what the impact it's going to have on them. Are people going to be stripped of saying, you cannot call this person mum, you cannot call that person dad, because it's going to offend those families who don't have who have parents of the same sex? So I think there are more to this. We need to know the impact it is going to have on our society, and I don't think we have been told that.
Sarah?
Well, I strongly disagree with Pauline, and look, I will be voting yes. I've been a strong supporter of marriage equality from the first day I came into this place here in the Senate, and it's one of those issues that we've seen grow significantly in terms of support across the Australian community in the last decade. And it is now at a point where the majority of Australians do support marriage equality. The Yes campaign, of course, with the rallies over the weekend, are off to a flying start. And the reason being is because many Australians just say, well, hang on a minute. It's time that we let LGBTI Australians, Australian gay and lesbian couples who are in loving, committed relationships, be able to get married and be considered equal under Australian law. That's all this is about. And I know the No campaign, and Pauline's just cited some of these silly arguments that they're putting forward, and they're not actually arguments against allowing gay and lesbians the right to marry. They're kind of red herrings. They're out to distract the issue. This has nothing to do with restricting the rights of other people. This is actually about giving more freedom to a large number of people in the Australian community who for far too long have been considered as second-class citizens under the law, and it's time we ended that discrimination.
Pauline, do you want to respond to that?
This is about love.
Look, as I said, I think it should be a referendum to actually change it under the Constitution to define the word marriage. What I'm concerned about, if the Parliament chooses to actually implement this, the next thing is, are they going to implement multiple marriages? That is of concern to me. So I think to change it in referendum, define what marriage is between a man and a woman or those people of the same sex. I believe that the people should have their say on this. It is a social issue. Whatever the public go along with, whatever the people say, I will be bound by that. You asked me how my vote would be, I told you. If it says the majority of people want it, but I don't like the plebiscite. We are hearing of votes being pinched out of letterboxes. We're hearing about votes being sold on eBay. That is not what the people will want, and I just think it is farcical. I think it's irresponsible to waste $122 million when it should go to the next election, and we should actually, look at the implications, and I'll say that again. And let me put this also, on the stats, it said there are 35,000 gay couples in Australia. Is that reflective of what the rest of the country want? And a lot of the gays don't even agree with same-sex marriage either. They don't want to get married.
Well, look, I think, Pauline, the reality is here is that the majority of Australians have a very open and progressive view about the idea that their gay and lesbian friends and family members should now have the right, as everybody else does, to marry the person they love. And I do struggle to understand the rationale of people who say, oh, well, we can't give these couples the right to marry under law, equality under the law, because we're worried that somebody's going to use the slippery slope argument. That is a lazy response to this issue. The majority of people want it. I do agree with you that the plebiscite is not the perfect way to do this. I think we should just have a vote in the parliament. But the idea that we need a referendum to change the constitution, well, marriage isn't in the constitution. It doesn't need to be a referendum. That would be another waste of money.
Okay.
All right.
Let's go on to something a little different. A photo posted on Facebook showing Malcolm Turnbull multitasking at the footy has fired up a few people. Some think the PM juggling a beer and his grandchild was disgraceful. Franklin James Baden-Powell accused Malcolm Turnbull of getting drunk while in charge of children. And Arnav Gandhi noted the only multitasking going on here was wasting 150 million while watching the footy at the same time. Sarah, is there anything wrong with this, for goodness sake?
Oh, look, no. Look, I think, if anything, this has made the Prime Minister look a bit more personable to the public, really. You know, you've got to wonder whether this has all been generated for the sake of publicity by the Prime Minister's office. I mean, look, it was hardly the PM's Michael Jackson baby over the balcony moment, was it? You know, you want to talk about irresponsibility with children. I reckon Michael Jackson's way up there, and the Prime Minister having a cuddle with his grandson or grandchild. I think, you know, come on. Granddads
Pauline,
have the right to have snuggles too.
These kind of pylons, are they un-Australian? Have we lost our sense of humour and our laid-back attitude?
Of course we have. These people are making whinging about this over nothing. I've spent a lot of time with the Prime Minister, having meetings with him. I've seen him at functions. He's not a man that drinks, actually. So if he had his green tea there, they'd be whinging about that because you're at the footy match with your green tea. You know, for a man, we've seen pictures of him. He loves his grandchildren. What a beautiful look. And as far as grandstanding for the publicity, I think grandstanding of Larissa Walters feeding her baby in Parliament, that was grandstanding for publicity.
Okay.
This is beautiful, and I take my hat off to the Prime Minister. Anyone's whinging out there, go and get a life, get over it, move on.
All right, Senators, thank you for that. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.